Okay, today we are starting a series of comprehension, that how we have to solve comprehension and get better marks in the comprehension. So we'll have first of all look at the rules of the comprehension so that you remember them by heart, and then we'll go for the comprehension. So these are some of the rules which I will read. Number one, read the passage of comprehension carefully at your natural speed. So number one is read your passage of comprehension carefully at your natural speed. Then reread. Reread means again read it. The passage for comprehension slowly. धीरे से पढ़ें, आराम से पढ़ें. Mark difficult words and find their meanings. When you are not in exam, then you have to find out the difficult words and find their meaning to enhance the vocabulary. To enhance the vocabulary. To enhance power of comprehension. Now, once you have read the passage twice, then read all questions carefully. Then read all questions carefully. Find out likely answers from the passage. From the passage, you have to select the lines, the sentences where the answer lies. Now, in order to reply, you have to write your own language. You have to make your own sentences. And somehow, if you find that paragraph is difficult, it is not comprehensible, you cannot understand it, still you have to answer all the questions. You write answers from the passage itself. It hardly matters because it will fetch you minimum 50% marks if you are unable to frame answers in your own language. So therefore, this is what is required of you. Now we'll find out the passage for your consideration, and then we'll find out how it is to be read, reread, and what are the methods of reading the passage, answering it. So this is the passage. You are able to see it. I am increasing the size of the. दिख रहा है आपको स्क्रीन पे?
Yes, sir.
So we'll now read it. आप नेचुरल स्पीड से एक बार पढ़िए. Out of you, who will read it?
I will read it.
Okay, okay. Then read it. गायब हो गया लगता है मुझे. हाँ जी, हाँ जी। ओके ओके। बंद कर दो। Now read this passage.
Uh, we were standing on the bridge trying to catch some fish for supper when a small red plane flew almost directly above our heads. We could even see the pilot's face. What on earth is he up to? I asked. I felt rather annoyed. I think he is in trouble, Jack said. His engine is making a strange noise. Well, we can't do anything, can we? I said. We can't even phone from here. We were on boating holiday and we were miles from the nearest town. We can follow the plane down the river, Jack said. Come on, let's go. I must admit, I liked the idea. There weren't many fish in the part of the river, and I was bored. We dropped our lines and ran towards our boat. It lay under some bushes about 100 yards down the river. Luckily, the engine started almost at once, and soon we were roaring down the river. But can the pilot land here? I asked Jack. He came to this part of the country for holiday almost every year, and he knew the area well. There is a lake about 15 miles down the river, Jack said. If the pilot really is in trouble, he'll probably try to land there. The river was already becoming wider. We went round the bend and there were the lake in front of us. Can you see anything? Jack asked. I looked across the river. No, absolutely nothing. I replied. Wait a minute, though, there is something in the water near that island in the middle. It was the small red plane. We raced across the take. By the time we reached the island, the pilot, a very young woman, was sitting on top of the plane. Hey, she called out to us. Thanks for coming to help me. I'm sorry I disturbed you while you were fishing. Anyway, would you like some fish for supper? She reached into the plane and pulled out a large fish. There's a plenty more in here, she said, laughing.
एक बार पढ़ लिया हमने. अब we'll have a rereading of it
Yes, sir.
and slowly. विशाखा पढ़िए अब आप.
We were standing on the bridge, trying to catch some fish for supper, when a small red plane flew almost directly above our heads. We could even see the pilot's face. What on earth is he up to? I asked. I felt rather annoyed. I think he is in trouble, Jack said. His engine is making a strange noise. Well, we can't do anything, can we? I said. We can't even phone from here. We were on a boating holiday and we were miles from the nearest town. We can follow the plane for down the river. Jack said, "Come on, let's go." I must admit, I liked the idea. There weren't many fish in that part of the river, and I was bored. We dropped our fishing lines and ran towards our boat. It lay under some bushes about 100 yards down the river. Luckily, the engine started almost at once, and soon we were roaring down the river. But can the pilot land here? I asked Jack. He came to this part of the country for a holiday almost every year, and he knew the area well.
There is a lake. आपकी आवाज
There
नहीं
is
आ
a
रही.
lake
हाँ, there is a lake.
There is a lake about 15 miles down the river. Jack said if the pilot really is in trouble, he probably try to
Hell
land there.
probably. Hell probably.
I'll probably try to land there. The river was already becoming wider. We went round a bend, and there was the lake in front of us. Can you see anything?" Jack asked. I looked across the lake. "No, absolutely nothing," I replied. "Wait a minute, though. There's something in the water near that island in the middle." It was the small red plane. We raced across the take, but the time we reached the island, the pilot, a very young woman, was sitting on the top of the plane. "Hi," she called out to us. "Thanks for coming to help me. I'm sorry I disturbed you while you were fishing. Anyway, would you like some fish for supper?" She asked into the plane and pulled out a large fish. "There's plenty more in here," she said, laughing.
Yes, what do you mean by supper? Supper. Supper means last meal of the day.
travel, one is travel and one is
Supper
food.
is
It
the
was
last
about food.
meal of the day. जैसे आमतौर पे हिंदुस्तानियों के लिए क्या होता है कि दूध पी लेते हैं रात को 10 बजे.
Yes.
So that is known as supper. It is just after dinner. It is just after dinner. In some countries, people take some kind of kawa. In Kashmir, they take kawa. And in some countries, they too take coffee. So, supper is the last food after dinner. Got my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, another
Yes.
difficult word here is in trouble. In trouble means, what do you mean by in trouble?
So मुसीबत में,
Yes.
in
In
difficulty.
distress. In distress. In distress.
Yes.
Okay. What is the meaning of luckily engine started almost at once?
That they just tried one
Um,
time and the engine started
Yes,
working.
generally it doesn't start in one time. Generally, it doesn't start in one time. Therefore,
one time.
the writer is writing, luckily, we were lucky that engine got started in one time. Roaring down. What do you mean by roaring down? Roaring down.
To swim downstream. Sorry.
Sailing down.
Means it is basically the flight which is going downwards with noise, with noise, with the noise of the engine, with noise of the engine.
Engine.
Okay. Why the engine was making a noise, strange noise?
It was old and
Basically, there was some fault. There was some fault in the engine. So therefore, engine was making a different kind of noise. Who asked what on the earth he is up to? Who asked what on the earth he is up to?
The one who is narrating this whole scene.
yes, the author.
Jack. Jack said that this plane is red plane, small red plane is in trouble. What was the incident when the red plane was in trouble? From the first paragraph, answer is visible. Read the paragraph again and you will find the answer.
So can you please repeat the question?
My question is, what was the incident like when the small red plane was in trouble?
So it was facing
The-
difficulty flying as it was directly over their head while it was flying, sir.
It means, आप शुरू से पढ़िए फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ को दोबारा से. Means two men were standing on the bridge. Once he using we were means two men were standing on the bridge and they were trying to catch fish for supper. They were trying to catch fish for supper. When they saw a red plane flew almost directly over their heads. They could even see the pilot face. When the plane flew over them, they could see even the pilot face. Okay. Who were on holiday, boating holiday? Who were on boating holiday?
So Jack and writer and Jack.
And the narrator, sir.
Jack and the writer were on boating holiday. How many miles they were away from the nearest town?
Exact is not used.
Means many miles away from their nearest town.
Yes.
Where was the boat hidden? Where was the boat hidden?
So under the bushes, around 100 yards down the river.
Okay. How far was the lake down the river?
The
15
15 miles.
15 miles.
15 miles. What was seen in the water? What was seen in the water near that island in the middle?
A
It was a
woman
small
pilot
red
on the
plane.
top of plane.
Small red plane was seen in the water.
Yes.
ये देखा ना, it was the small red plane.
Yes,
आप
sir.
क्वेश्चन यहाँ से पढ़िए ना, आंसर क्वेश्चन यहीं से आंसर मिलेगा आपको. There is something in the water near the island in the middle. It was small red plane. So what was seen in the water? Small red.
Small red
Small
plane.
red plane.
Who was the pilot? Who was the pilot?
A very young woman.
Okay.
Yes.
What was the comment of the pilot? What was
He
the
first
comment of
said
the
He
hello to
pilot?
thanked
them
them for
and
helping.
Bolo,
she
you have to
thanked
speak
them
in your
for
own language. Speak in your own language.
she thanked them to for coming to help her.
Okay. And
And
दूसरा कोई आंसर
also
देना चाहेगा? First of all, she thanked for helping her, and then she also said that she was sorry
Apology.
for disturbing you while you were fishing. While you were fishing.
She.
Use sentence, make a sentence of supper. Make a sentence of supper.
Oh, uh, taking light supper is good for health. Having light supper is good for health.
ओके, आप बताओ, और कुछ बताओ। और कुछ बताओ, और सेंटेंस बनाओ।
I had a delicious supper before going to bed.
ओके, you had the delicious supper before you went to bed. Okay, now we will go into another paragraph. Now you have a look at it. This is for your solving. अपने आप पढ़ो आप, मैं नहीं कुछ इसमें हेल्प करूंगा। पढ़ो, मन में पढ़ो। दीक्षा, आपकी वीडियो नहीं दिखाई दे रही है।
Oh. Yes, sir. Actually, I was sitting in dim light.
नो प्रॉब्लम, यू आर अटेंडिंग।
Sir, actually, I was at home, so I had to sit outside.
Okay, okay. No, in me, you are attending the class. I want to ask from you.
Yes, sir. Yes,
The screen is
sir. I
visible to
am
you?
until I go for message.
Okay,
Yes, sir. It is. I'm reading.
okay. So read all the paragraphs carefully, then we'll have questions on this. थोड़ा ऊपर करें। जब आपने ऊपर करवाना है, थोड़ा बोलते जाना है साथ साथ में। ऊपर करें।
Yes, sir.
हो गई रीडिंग?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I will read and you will listen. So you can also read with me. Reading is a fundamental skill that plays a vital role in our lives. It is not just about deciphering words on a page, but about door it opens, the knowledge it imparts, and the world it allows us to explore. Reading is an essential tool for learning, expanding our horizons, and fostering imagination. When we read, we acquire knowledge. Whether it is reading textbook, newspaper, or online article, we gain information that help us understand the world. Books in particular are a treasure trove of knowledge They contain the wisdom of generation, the discoveries of great minds, and the stories of diverse culture. Reading book can educate us on history, science, literature, and countless other subjects. It is like having a mentor guiding us through the complexities of the life. Reading also broadens our horizon. It exposes us to different viewpoints, perspectives, and experiences. When we read about characters from various backgrounds or explore far-off lands through the pages of novel, we step into their shoes and see the world from a different angle. This broadening of perspective fosters empathy and understanding, making us more tolerant and open-minded individuals. Furthermore, reading fuels our imagination, whether it is a fantasy novel, a science fiction story, or a compelling mystery. Books transport us to other worlds and challenge us to envision the unimaginable. Our mind becomes the canvas and the words paint the picture. It is a magical experience that ignites creativity and inspiration. Moreover, reading is a skill that transcends academic boundaries. It is not just about scoring well on tests, it is about developing critical thinking and analytical skills and the ability to communicate effectively. A person who reads regularly is likely to have a broader vocabulary, better writing skills, and an improved ability to express their thoughts and ideas. In our modern digital age, reading has taken on a new form. E-books and audiobooks have made it more accessible and convenient. With just a few clicks or taps, we can access a vast library of literature. However, there is something timeless and intimate about holding a physical book, flipping its pages, and smelling the scent of paper and ink. In conclusion, reading is not just a hobby, it is a cornerstone of education, personal growth, and cultural enrichment. It empowers us with knowledge, broadens our perspective, ignites our imagination, and equips us with essential skills. Whether we are reading for pleasure, information, or self improvement, reading is a journey that enriches our life and shapes us into more informed, empathetic, creative individuals. So, this is what is about the paragraph. Now we will have questions. Okay, now we'll have questions. These are the questions. Note down the questions. Number 1, लिख लीजिए बेशक आप लिख लीजिए. You can also have a glimpse of it once you get the video. What are the benefits of reading according to passage? Number 1. Number 2, how does reading broaden our horizon and foster empathy? Empathy का मतलब क्या होता है? What is the meaning of empathy?
Understanding someone's situation, like putting yourself into the shoes
Yeah,
of other
putting
people.
ourselves into another shoes. That is empathy. How does it differ from sympathy and empathy? What is the difference between the two?
So, like, sympathy will basically mean a sad emotion when you feel when someone loses something. So, empathy is understanding. Sympathy is somehow related to a sad or distressful emotion related to somebody else's loss.
Correct. And in sympathy, we tend to help. We tend to
Yes.
help someone financially also. Say beggar has come in front of you and he's asking for a arm. We get sympathy for him and we give a coin or 10 rupees note. What
Yes,
kind
sir.
of help is offered in empathy?
So, like emotional help, we will
Okay, good.
try to figure out some sort of solutions. We'll do it together with the other person.
Next question is, what role reading play in developing critical thinking and communication skills? Next, what are the advantages of reading physical books compared to digital formats? And last, how does reading enrich our lives and shape up as individuals? So this is the homework for you. Go through the paragraph again, find out the difficult meaning, and then we'll give me the answers on your um, notebook and click a photograph of it and send it to me. We'll judge the answers and then give you the replies. Correct it. Got my point?
Yes, sir.
Any questions
Yes, sir.
from your
Yes.
side? Any questions from your side?
No, sir.
Okay, if no
No,
questions,
sir.
we'll stop it here. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind, sir.
Thank you, sir.